Aboii does it! He is your TNS9 champion!
I can't believe it, but Pot is a champion yet again. Just in this past month, Pot managed to win another big tournament. It's almost been a year since Snake Eyes showed us the power of Potemkin. But this year, Potemkin has some new tricks up his sleeve, with a new season patch giving him a new move and a new mechanic that would take him out of being bottom one. However, a new player emerges that makes Potemkin look even better. This is Aboii. Aboii is interesting because he's mostly known for his dooming of how bad Potemkin is, and also says he's going to switch to a different character, but never does. However, even with all that, he still performs really well with the character. Love him or hate him, he shows Potemkin's true potential. He is currently sitting at the top spot as Potemkin, as well as being a top 25 player overall. He has notable placements in online tournaments as he can take out most of the top players. However, he has never gotten to the top 8 of a regional or a major before until now. Going into the tournament, Aboii would cruise through his pools and meet Scambolini at the end of his bracket, who is a well-known Kai player. He ends up scraping by winning 3-2. Now he's in the top 24, and then he would fight off Jurassic Oni. And the game's played out a little like this.
Back out to the full screen. Nice anti-air 5B into the Kara Gigantor. Oh, that was alright, BMF. Trying to hold on. Yeah, you have such a big health lead here that you're just trying to play
Assault every time. White Wild Assault. Jurassic Ori. Call out once again with the brother pop buster after the whip.
First. One hit. It had to be the PD.
It was actually awkward.
Oh, yeah, Oh, so is this one? The Kara PV once again.
For the 2B, the 2K will get punished.
No,
I
dude.
love it. That was so cheeky. Aboii utilized the movement from Hammerfall to take that armor. Nice.
You check name with no meter behind it, barely.
And just like that, he's on winner's side of top 8. And even more interesting is that there are 2 other players in top 8 that he took out earlier in his run. Noob Record 9000, which he 3-0'd earlier, and obviously Scambolini. Aboii essentially has already beaten 2 of the top 8 players. But his first opponent in top 8 is MFCR, a rival that had stopped him from getting into top 8 at DreamHack Atlanta 3 months ago, where he would end up losing the set over a dropped combo that would have made him get into top 8. Now it's time for the rematch, and this time it's to get into winners finals. The first match, Aboii would get an ideal start, landing a White Wild Assault, which gives him invincibility while also being a fast advancing guard crush attack, making it safe to use, and MFCR not opting to use a DP on Wake Up. Aboii takes advantage of this and keeps the pressure and pushes him back into the corner, landing a Pop Buster. Aboii would continue the pressure, landing a Garuda, and MFCR knowing what happens after a Garuda hit, he bursts out of there. You might have wanted to save that burst though, because Aboii uses his super and flies up to MFCR and gets a Pop Bust anyways, getting a perfect for his first game. MFCR would end up shifting the tide in the second match, starting off by winning round start and then getting the mix-up that would bring Pot to the other side of the screen and breaking through the wall, granting him positive bonus, which gives multiple benefits to the aggressor. You get 10% bonus damage, plus 10% taking less damage, while also gaining constant tension and burst meter. Aboii would try to get in a sneaky grab after a White Wild Assault, but MFCR would counter this with a super, granting him invincibility and taking the round. On to round 3, Aboii would whiff his low dust, and MFCR would punish him all the way through the wall for it. Now you have to watch Leo do his goofy ass moves. He'd end up landing a DP after the screen transition, but Aboii didn't want to go through the wall again, so he bursted to save himself. Aboii would land a hammerfall attack, converting into a combo, ending with Garuda, which then sets up for a safe jab. A safe jab is when you want to cover both options of being safe from a DP, a grab, or fast attack, letting you keep the pressure. So how he did this setup is a little strange, and you have to do certain moves to make this work. For example, for what he did hammer fall into forward Roman cancel, into 2S, which is the big slap, into 2 heavy, which is that big uppercut, and then into Garuda. And you have to do all this without having any gaps between each move. Now, I'm not going to get into specifics of this, but this is a nice spreadsheet of what works and what doesn't work with Potemkin. But it doesn't really matter because MFCR gets out of the corner with a super, but luckily Aboii gets in with a hammer fall and gets a meaty Garuda, setting up for another meaty Garuda, and MFCR getting hit and getting pot busted. And after a couple of close and scary interactions, Aboii would manage to pull through with a hammer fall and get the W. Aboii shaking his head saying, damn, why am I playing this character? That was way too close for comfort. And MFCR switches the song to Rock and Roll McDonald's. Starting off the next set, Aboii would do the classic White Wild Assault into Pot Buster that we all love, and then just use White Wild Assault again, because why not? MFCR uses burst to get out, but not much later, Aboii would just do a jump scare Pot Buster. A jump scare Pot Buster is exactly what you're thinking. A fast, scary, unexpected Pot Buster. How it's done is by using a fast Roman cancel, which is done by inputting a move fast enough to get out of the Roman cancel. Basically, you do a lot of cancels and a move comes out really fast. The most common pot scare is using it with hammerfall, as that closes the gap the quickest while also being on the ground. So you hammerfall, Roman cancel forwards, making you move closer to the enemy, and then enter the pot buster input. That was the slow way. To get the jump scare effect, you have to input the pot buster move right after you Roman cancel, so it looks something like this. Very hard to react to, which is why it's so great. So with that, Aboii takes the first round. Next round, MFCR would do his Leo thing, side switches, combo him through walls, and then get a sneaky grab, and that pretty much finishes this round. Starting on the third round, MFCR would get a drop kick and do his cross up, and Aboii would burst out of the situation, but end up getting whiff punished soon after, getting carried to the other side of the stage and go through the wall. Yep, and there he goes. Then it would happen again, and then MFCR would end up taking the game. And here's my pot interpretation of breaking through the wall. Whoa! And then a swift death. Then MFCR takes a swig of Aboii's tears. Round starts, MFCR goes on the offense, Aboii finds a hole and gets a grab in, sets up for a safe jab leading to a hard knockdown, does a well-spaced Garuda, and gets a hard executed combo off. Now I know this combo might seem just like a normal ass basic combo, but the execution behind it is pretty technical. So he lands a counter hit close slash and then does a 2 heavy. He then cancels that 2 heavy into hammer fall, then stopping the hammer fall immediately, going into 5K. This normally isn't possible to do unless you get a counter hit. Because of the slowdown, you get a little bit of extra frames to work with to get the 5K in. This kicks him back up, and then Kara cancels the back Mega Fist into super, all of which is really hard to execute during a match, but Aboii can pull it off. But anyways, this looks pretty good for Aboii, just needs a hit or two. Just kidding, he needs a third. MFCR goes back on the offensive, crossing Aboii up, and then does it again and again. Gets a small combo to drop it, and then crosses up yet again. This is actually insane, but then he does a double cross up, catches him off guard yet again, and yes, he does this one more time and gets the first round with 1 health left. And takes another big swig of Aboii's tears. Next round starts, MFCR would cross up Aboii per usual, but Aboii would manage to find a grab in there with a safe jab set up, makes MFCR guess, and he gets a pot buster. Which then he cancels it into a flick, then Kara back Mega Fist into 5K and goes for the extra damage with the Heat Knuckle. Some people would probably argue to do Wild Assault to get the hard knockdown on screen transition, but maybe Kara Garuda isn't good enough against Leo. And Pot gets hit and then uses burst to get out of this, and then catches MFCR with a Kai barrier, winning the round. Third round starts, MFCR gets a DP off and does the Leo thing and cross up per usual. Cool thing that MFCR does though is tries to catch Aboii with an overhead dust, but Aboii back Mega Fist and then Roman cancels to do an invincible DP to beat Mega Fist. Aboii backdashes and puts MFCR in the corner, but MFCR gets a gold burst off, hits Aboii with a counter hit DP, but Aboii would end up landing a big counter hit 2D, canceling into Hammerfall, break, Kai Barrier, and getting optimal damage, and ends with Garuda into Kara Hammerfall to get a safe jab. MFCR does a desperate super, and Aboii's just holding that block button. Think Aboii gets this, but nope, he gets crossed up yet again, and MFCR takes the win. God, I hate this. If you subscribe to me, I'll take out all the bad parts of Pot losing. And he's still sipping on those tears. All right, it's a new game, round 1. Not too much to go over here. MFCR breaks Aboii through the wall twice and pretty much calls it a day. Oh God, and there's Pot dying. I can't watch this. Round 2 starts. MFCR pushes Aboii into the corner. Then there's this pretty neat interaction here where Aboii uses Garuda and MFCR uses his DP and they clash. And MFCR instantly goes for a fireball and Aboii being ready to block. Pretty neat little interaction. MFCR crosses up Aboii per usual, getting a couple hits in, eventually uses Hammerfall to armor through an attack, and Roman cancels into Potbuster. Flash forward to the future, he backsteps our attack in the corner, landing a grab, and Aboii being able to save his life and move on to the next round. This round doesn't look too good for Aboii as he lost 75% of his health pretty quickly. But luckily, he was able to Mega Fist out of one of the combos, block a DP, getting optimal damage with this combo. And like before, this combo was pretty hard to execute, and dropping it could lead to a loss. But Aboii pulls it off and gets a hard knockdown. MFCR goes back on the offense, landing a straight hit, then tried to do what I think was supposed to be a fast Roman cancel to get an instant overhead, but Aboii was able to react and use Deflect Shield. Deflect Shield is a defensive move that blocks all mids, lows, and overhead attacks for roughly half a second, or 29 frames if you're a scientist, pushing the attacker back a great amount of distance, but it does use up 50% of your burst gauge, so it's pretty costly, but it can get you out of bad situations. Then he also uses a yellow Roman cancel to stop the pressure and gets a winning Potbuster finish. We're down to the last game of this set, and Aboii does the gold standard of using White Wild Assault into Potbuster. Unfortunately, it does get punished this time. Later on, though, he would try to do it again, but he also gets grabbed out of it since it doesn't have invincibility to throws. Aboii would eventually find his footing, getting a Kai Barrier off, and then heat tackle over Leo so that the wall is on the other side of him, which then Aboii then side switches again to keep the corner pressure and then win the match, hitting a big counter low into Hammerfall. And Aboii scratches his chin for good luck. Round 2. MFCR catches Aboii off guard and breaks him through the wall, then crosses him up to death, and that's the ideal Leo match right there. And yes, guys, I know Leo does a lot more than just cross up people. He does some cool things, but you think I'm a Leo player? Anyways, the final round, final game. Aboii gets MFCR on the ground and does a late Garuda, and MFCR isn't ready for it and opts to go for another Garuda instead of the grab, but then gets hit by the low. Aboii goes for a White Wild Assault Oki, and I might be missing something here, but that seems like a mistake. Wasting 50% burst meter for extra damage does not seem worth it. But you know, I'm not the one in top 8, so maybe Aboii can teach me a lesson. Aboii then gets him in the corner, uses his super, getting him a hard knockdown, and guard crushes him 3 times and finishes him off after a DP whiff. Aboii pops off as any Pot player would, being in top 8. Then one of the biggest tragedies happen. Aboii goes over for the handshake and MFCR opts for the fist. Then you see MFCR give the expression, "Oh, you think this was a handshake game?" Aboii instantly switches to the first and both do the nod. This would later become something relevant in the future. You'll see. Next up, Aboii would have to fight Cheerio, one of the best Gold Lewis players in the world. And not only that, looking at the top players' matchup charts, you can see there is one thing in common, and that is Gold Lewis is arguably Potemkin's worst matchup, with Aboii saying it's above 3-7 matchup in Gold Lewis's favor. In other words, Aboii is going to have to gap. Going into the first match, Aboii gets a hard knockdown and hits with the Garuda. Cheerio know what happens next, so he gets out of there with a burst. Then it's just straight hit city for the next couple minutes until Aboii goes for a white wild assault and Cheerio would grab him out of it and finish the first round. Going into the next round, Aboii lands a huge counter hit 6H, which could have led to a corner combo if he was ready for it. Just to show you guys what's possible with a counter hit 6H, you can actually bring someone to the corner and then pop them back up with a 5K, landing to a wall break combo. But it's not easy. It's also rare for a counter hit 6H to happen to begin with, so Cheerio backdashes a close slash and gets an overhead cross up on Aboii, putting him back in the corner. Aboii gets a flick on him to get out of the corner, but no one is safe from Gold Lewis and catches Aboii with a low and sends out the drone. This drone ruins people's lives as it is the most powerful non-super projectile in the game. It beats out most of the other projectiles and has 3 ticks of hits if it's at full power, meaning you have to just respect it, or if you have a character that has a white wild assault, you can go right through it. Aboii ends up getting hit by the drone, taking a good amount of damage, manages to get out of the corner with a gold burst. They stare at each other for a bit, and then ends up getting a jump scare pop buster, quite possibly the scariest thing in this game. Slides up with a Kai barrier, tap dust into pop bust, and that's how you win games. You can also win by practicing, but no one's going to do that. Round 3, Aboii gets a hard knockdown and tries to end this quick with a pop buster, but Cheerio gold bursts and gets a couple of hits in, and then sends out the death drone again, aka the win condition, and ends up taking the match. All right, we can just skip this. Skip it. Well, I guess I just wanted to add the wave race music, and even though Aboii looks pretty upset, it was worth it. Start of a new game. It's round 1. After playing some footsies, Aboii would land a Garuda while Cheerio backdashes, putting him in the corner. Aboii would then use Kai barrier into low and tap dust and break Gold Lewis through the wall. Aboii then tries to use Garuda 3 times in a row and gets punished for it, obviously. Cheerio would send out his level 3 drone, and to counter this, Aboii would use the only thing that he could use to stop it, which was his Kai barrier, and fly over Cheerio, land a Garuda, and eventually win the round with a wake up super cancel into 5P. Now, this is the only real reversal that Potemkin has, is waking up using his Heavenly Potemkin Buster, which gives him a few frames of invulnerability, but if the person isn't jumping, it's kind of a waste of resource. However, you can cancel the first few frames of it with a roaming cancel, and then do any move out of this. Usually it's a pop buster, but for this case, Aboii just wanted to get a fast hit in to finish the job. Round 2 starts and Aboii gets a hard knockdown, does the Garuda shenanigans, gets poked out, but ends up landing a counter hit hammerfall set up for Garuda again. Slides up, gets a counter hit close slash, blue roaming cancels to slow down Gold Lewis, which combos into Garuda to get a guaranteed pop buster. So by using the blue roaming cancel, it made the opponent slow down so he's trapped and hit stun longer, making it possible to get a Garuda off even when it normally wouldn't be possible. To get a better understanding of this, there is no possible way to do this combo without using a roaming cancel, because if you use Garuda, usually it's either too slow and doesn't hit or the person can block, or it's during a combo when the person's launched in the air and when they get hit, they usually get knocked back very far. So this is gonna hurt a lot, but not quite kill. But it's looking good for Pop. Aboii gets him against the wall, uses Kai barrier to make him stay there, taps dust button wins the game. And for those confused about what tap dust is, it's that little orange bubble that's around the character. It's an overhead attack that hits people blocking low, so it catches people off guard. Game 3, round 1, Cheerio gets a gold burst after getting grabbed and sends out a drone that we all know and hate. Aboii doesn't respect it and gets put in the corner, and a lot of bad things happen. Aboii gets bullied through the wall, but catches Cheerio with a hammer fall and then does the fake out Garuda potbuster jump scare. That alone should have won him the match, but it's fine. Aboii pushes him into the corner, getting his Kai barrier for his win condition, and then Cheerio says nope, uses White Wild Assault to go through the damn barrier, sends out his own projectile, and Aboii was like, you know what, I'll do the same to you, and well, Cheerio was ready for that. This is some Inception stuff right here. Round 2 starts, they walk back and forth for a year, then Aboii gets a grab, does a safe jab setup, and gets a pot buster, and he tries to extend it here, but misses Zakara on the back Mega Fist. This could have potentially killed, but Pot is sometimes a bitch and doesn't do what we want him to. But this is what potentially would have happened if he landed this, and sorry, I'm disabled on player 1 side, so I can only pull this off consistently on player 2 side, so please don't use this against me if you fight me. But it doesn't matter, just use Kai barrier and whiff close slash twice and then tab dust. No big deal. If you're trying to get better at the game, just hit the damn dust button. Round 3 starts, they play neutral for far too long, then Cheerio sends out a level 3 drone, hits but nothing comes from it. Aboii finds a gap in Cheerio's pressure and goes for a pot buster, gets big damage, and then he goes for a hammer fall into close slash, but Cheerio can just mash out of this. Cheerio keeps the pressure and catches him with an overhead, gets a hard knockdown, and sends out the drone to keep Pot in the corner. Cheerio breaks Aboii through the wall, getting that positive bonus. Aboii skips neutral using White Wild Assault, and then Gold Lewis says, hey, I can do that too. Aboii uses Deflect Shield to avoid the pressure, but it doesn't matter because Gold Lewis can White Wild Assault Roman cancel to continue his deadly pressure. Aboii doesn't want to deal with this, so Yellow Roman cancels to take his turn back. Hits with 1 low into Garuda, and it's time to guess. Cheerio guesses wrong and takes big damage. Aboii finds the spacing this time to get out his close slash, catches him with a low into Garuda setup. Gold Lewis takes out his big guns and chips away at Pot's life, and Aboii could have lived if he faultless defensed. Faultless defense is a defensive option that uses your tension meter, but it prevents you from taking any chip damage, and it also pushes the defender further than it would if you just normally blocked. So this is really important to use when you're at low health and you don't want to get chipped to death. But the real reason why Aboii tossed his hands in the air is he was like, why am I still playing the best character in the game? Anyways, we're on to game 4, round 1. Couple straight hits get exchanged, and Aboii goes for a wake up super cancel in the 5P, and Cheerio somehow backdashes this, but gets hit by the close slash. Cheerio uses burst. Doesn't matter though, because Aboii lands a jump scare pop buster and calls it a day. And this is why everyone should play Potemkin, but please don't. Going into round 2, Aboii hits him with a low into Garuda, and I think hits a miss input here because he definitely didn't need a deflect shield when he still has his turn. Cheerio gets a couple hits in, and Aboii manages to find a gap and pot bust once again. Moments after that, Aboii slides up while Cheerio brings out his drone, and Aboii kills the drone with his Kai barrier, gets a tap dust, and misses a Kara back Mega Fist that might have killed once again. Cheerio gets in with a White Wild Assault, crossing up Aboii with a side switch overhead. Gets Aboii in the corner. Aboii uses Deflect Shield to get out of the situation. Cheerio gets back in there, and Aboii barely makes it out alive with a back Mega Fist. We're on the last game of this set. Round 1, straight hits galore until the party starts when Aboii uses Kai barrier and hits him with the Garuda Pot Buster special. Aboii continues to bully Cheerio into the corner until landing a close slash and ending his life. Round 2 starts, and Cheerio got bullied so hard that he became the bully and now has Aboii in the corner and mixes him up, gets a wall slump. A wall slump is when you get a wall splat that doesn't launch your opponent, and instead of being able to tech off the wall, they are forced into this wall slump state instead and stay against the wall, allowing the aggressor to keep the wall pressure. Pot armor through an attack and gets a hard knockdown and waits a half second and gets a pot buster and slides up, does it again, Now it's an even match, except it's not because he drops the barrier. Cheerio bursts out of the situation and drops the drone. Aboii doesn't want to deal with that, so he white wild assaults, but Cheerio ready for it again. Aboii back in the corner, uses deflect shield to create some distance. Cheerio drops another drone, Pot flicks it back. Aboii gets a few stray hits him, but watch out for the white wild assault, and Aboii's life is ruined and Cheerio takes the round. Now it may look like they're having fun, but I can tell you right now they're hating every second of this. Round 3 starts, they walk back and forth for a couple minutes. Cheerio gets a hard knockdown to set up a drone, and oh no, not again! Aboii takes a couple of hits of chip damage, then decides to take the full damage, goes through the wall. Blue Roman cancels to slow down Gold Lewis's attack and gets the Pot Buster off. The stare down into White Wild Assault into Big Arm. And if you get a counter hit with that Big Arm, you get a free Kai barrier, and that will win him the set. Aboii makes it into Grand Finals. Another spark of hope that a Pot player can take home another W for the grapplers out there. However, he's going to need to fight against his old rival, MFCR, who would 3-0 Noob Record 9000 and barely make it out against Cheerio, getting 3-2. He's back yet again to stop Aboii. And I guess Aboii is apologizing to Leffen for being too good with Pot, so he's never going to get Leffen's forgiveness. We're in Grand Finals now, and this round start is one that every Potemkin wants. Kara back Mega Fist into Pot Buster. Tries to go for it again, but gets punished, but gets the gold burst on Wake Up, letting him get his Kai barrier off, but leads to nothing. MFCR crosses up Aboii into the corner, does it 2 more times, then gets a clash in the middle with Garuda and DP, and Aboii gets a hammer fall off, just needing 1 more hit to finish the job, but we will not see that happen because MFCR actually paid $60 to block in this game and finishes Aboii with a super. I can't put cool music here, so I'm skipping it. Round 2 starts. Fast forward through all the stray hits. MFCR tries to cross up, and Aboii is able to grab him this time and sets up a safe jab, lands a White Wild Assault. MFCR tries to cross up again, but Aboii is ready for it now. Safe jab set up again, lands the combo, and ends it with a Kai barrier. This move is pretty good and people should use it more often, but not against me. Round 3 starts and they both bring each other down to low health. MFCR gets a hard knockdown and sneakily switches the sides, which catches Aboii off guard. And at first it doesn't seem like this is going to be able to finish him off, but MFCR manages to find a way to finish the job. Game 2 starts and it's as tale as old as time. White Wild Assault into grab, but gets punished for it. Then MFCR crosses Aboii up a baker dozen times and takes the first round. And I'm not going to show it. Shit. Round 2, Aboii tries to armor through but gets hit twice, and MFCR ends up breaking him through the wall at round start. MFCR pushes Aboii into the corner, but back Mega Fist is everyone's friend except if you're the other guy. He brings out the barrier, flies over, and this is when things get weird. Aboii uses close slash and decides to jump. Maybe he knew the Garuda wasn't going to cut it there, but MFCR uses his super. Aboii tries to punish him and either accidentally missed imports slides head or he was trying to poke him from that far, but gets the slide head off anyways, misses the Pot Buster and gets grabbed himself. Then gets crossed up from MFCR, breaks him through the wall with barely any health. MFCR has meter to burn and shoots a projectile. Purple Roman cancels to continue pressure into dust. Uses Roman cancel again to keep his turn going. Does nothing and gets grabbed. Aboii goes for his safe jab but doesn't block the DP. Now it's looking like MFCR is going to reset the bracket and they're both going to have to do another best of 5 unless Aboii can somehow reverse 3-0 MFCR right now. Game 3 starts and my favorite thing to do is White Wild Assault. Didn't go for the Pot Bust this time but sets up for 2 Garudas and will get the Pot Buster anyways. He rolls up, gets a counter hit close slash, waits to use the blue Roman cancel to get the free Garuda, and I think that shoulder bash was supposed to be a pot buster, but he just flicks the kid. I'm basically a broken record at this point, but MFCR tries to cross up, Aboii grabs and gets a safe jab set up, but this time blocks the DP, gets a big counter hit close slash, and MFCR bursts out knowing how much health he would have lost. Aboii hammer falls, but MFCR is ready for it and grabs him out of it. He does the usual cross up low and brings Aboii to the corner, which then Aboii says, "Get off me," uses Kai barrier, tries to mega fist him to death, and then goes for a grab whiff, but MFCR can't get big damage because of the barrier. Aboii tries to get another grab since the barrier is there to protect him. Aboii gets a big counter hit but doesn't get anything off of it. He back Mega Fist, and I think this is the first 6P I've seen him do this whole entire tournament. Aboii uses Kai barrier to keep the corner, tries to catch him with a dust. Doesn't work, but just kidding, it does work if you do it a second time. Game 4 starts, and if you want to know how this round went, then this is all you need. Oh, and MFCR crosses up Aboii as many times as people comment pot isn't a low tier. Potemkin being bad is Russian propaganda. Do this make guys crack. It's not fair, but as a pot man, not too many hours. I don't think pot has ever been bottom one. Round 2, Aboii starts with a Kara back Mega Fist, pokes him a couple times, and then MFCR just runs into pot's loving arms. MFCR gets a grab, putting Aboii in the corner and catches him with an overhead, and surprise, surprise, he breaks him through the wall. Fast forward through this, Aboii then gets a grab, Roman cancel it to continue the pain train, and ends up taking the game and set. We are on the last set of the tournament, potentially, if Aboii can close it out. Just don't move the mouse or look at the time of this video. If you did, you just ruined everything. You ruined my video. It's okay, we're moving on to game 5. Round 1, and Aboii gets a hard knockdown, and everyone knows what comes next. The shoulder bash comes out back into Garuda, and MFCR wanted to hit a button, but is now going to have to hit the burst button. Of course, Aboii will slide up and try to grab again and get punished again. Aboii bursts out to not get bullied, slides up, brings out the barrier. MFCR takes the full force of it and will get sent to the hospital after this. But Aboii isn't done yet. He gets the safe jab off and finishes the job. Just one more round and pot gets another big victory here. Round 2, MFCR gets a hit in, bringing Aboii to the corner and will break the wall. Aboii lands slide head and whiffs hammer fall. Doesn't matter because he catches him with a low. Slides up with the barrier, and MFCR was not ready for this, and this will be a dramatic finish as Aboii pops off and gets a major victory with Potemkin. What makes this an even sweeter victory is that Aboii posted about getting top 8 at this event 6 months ago, and not only does he get top 8, he ends up winning the whole thing. And even better yet, he does it on his birthday. And yeah, it may seem like everything's nice and dandy right now, but as he slaps his friends high fives, he goes back to MFCR, and this is what transpires. But for real, congrats to Aboii for winning with pot. I'm probably not the only one here, but I really popped off when Aboii took this tournament. And it's always great to see high-level Potemkin play. So hopefully I'll see Aboii play more Potemkin, even though I know he keeps threatening to change characters. But, you know, maybe he'll keep saying that and still play Potemkin, and that would make me just happy. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching this far. Jeez, it's like a 30-minute long video. It really means a lot when people actually watch the whole thing. Like, I can't believe it. And I guess people tell me to, you know, try to tell people to subscribe to me. So do that if you want to see more types of videos like this. But I understand if you already hate me for talking about Potemkin this much. But enough about me. This video is all about Aboii. He's a champ, man. And I can't wait to see what he does next.